Budget Blinds. Visit their showroom or call today for a free in-home consultation.
It's the largest indoor vintage snowmobile show in Canada, and it happens just down Highway 16. The 4th annual Vermillion Ridge Riders Snowmobile Expo was held on the weekend and featured some of the finest snowmobiles on the market, including more than 80 vintage collectibles. Chris Chacon was there and has the details.
People from all over the country came to the town of Vermillion for one of Canada's largest indoor vintage snowmobile shows.
The town of Vermillion got us started on to do with just a winter festival, and we just carried it on, started, and it's just been getting bigger and bigger every year.
This event displayed a one-of-a-kind array of vintage snowmobiles, along with modern-day snowcats, attracting an avalanche of collectors and enthusiasts.
I'm into the vintage snowmobiles. I've got a small collection of my own. I got a good friend that I came with that's right into them as well. And we just wanted to bring the kids down, bring the wife down, take a look.
And there was plenty to look at. A majority of these classic collectibles are more than 30 years old.
It started off, we just wanted to do a vintage show and then show off a little bit of the new stuff. We're now the biggest vintage show indoor show in Canada.
This is just a really good time. It's really good. I've had a great time. The kids are having fun, and it's nice to see.
Although a majority of snowmobiles are used for recreation, there are various industries such as rescue teams, the military, and many more that heavily use and rely on these powerful machines.
This is our 4th year for it, and we are pre-booked into this hall for the next 3 years at least. So I don't think it's going away.
Chris Chacon, Newcap News.
Well, it's that time of year again. Christmas is just 3 weeks away, and the spirit is in the air. Families gathered in downtown Lloydminster Saturday for an annual tradition. Here comes Santa Claus Day.
Where's your brother?
Miniature ponies were a big hit with the kids outside the library as their parents lined up down the block to get inside. Julie Bloomfield and her 3 young children have come for a number of years now and consider getting pictures with Santa to be a holiday tradition.
I think the most important thing about Christmas isn't the gifts or anything like that, but just remembering what the season is and spending time as a family.
And while Cindy Lou Who met the Grinch, others gathered outside Synergy Credit Union for some free lunch. The fire department cooked and gave away more than 1,300 hot dogs. Meanwhile, a few players from the Lloydminster Bandits helped out with some hay rides.
I mean, there's not as much snow this year, but it's just nice having everyone out here as a community, just enjoying the little things.
Celebrations continued through the afternoon and were capped off with a firework display over downtown. Well, today's kids have a lot to deal with growing up. Along with the stress of schoolwork and social development comes the difficulty of discovering who you are as a person. A young woman who grew up in Lloydminster decided to write a children's book for a group of people who she says often can't relate to typical protagonists. It's called The Prince S, and it tells the story of a young prince who has always known he would be happier if he were a princess.
His dad always told him, you know what, you can do absolutely anything you want to because I believe in you.
Author Michaela Spence admits the topic is fairly heavy for children, but she believes it's important for all kids to be able to accept themselves for who they are.
You know, that stuff's all right. You could do whatever, love whoever you want. You know, they'll be more comfortable with themselves and who they want to love when they're older.
Spence has sent a copy to Ellen DeGeneres with the hopes that The Prince S will inspire a wider audience of young people.
So I hope something happens there. That'd be really nice, but I'm also not expecting anything either.
The 18-year-old first-time author says more books may be in her future, but much like her character, she's still figuring out what she'd like to do with her life. Well, most restaurants these days have alternative menu options for customers with dietary restrictions, whether it's vegan or vegetarian or accommodating those with celiac disease with gluten-free dishes. It's a trend that seems to have come about in the past decade or so. In this week's Retrospect, we take a look back to when restaurants were starting to get requests for more lean meat with meals.
Many people say a lean cut of meat is just as healthy as anything you could eat, but the health conscious have taken to heart that beef is bad and have begun eating less beef or different kinds of meat or no meat at all. For those who do eat beef and want to go out, what is available? Gwen LeMay from Lloyd Family Dining says you can still have that beef dinner and not worry. The beef she uses is leaner, which is customer preference most times. There is the odd time at a buffet where fatty beef is preferred.
I find that Lloydminster is a beef-eating community. Even the Christmas functions like banquets, instead of booking turkey dinners and things, they're booking HIPAA beef buffets, and so many of our buffets are beef. People just in Lloydminster eat a lot of beef.
Although her menu does not have a specific health food section, you can request food be specially prepared, and the inevitable has happened. Her sales of alternative meats has risen.
There has been a decrease in the beef and an increase in the chicken, but there's not as many people ordering T-bones and New Yorks, which have a little more fat on them than there is our steak sandwiches.
The same cannot be said for Nolan's Family Restaurant. Part owner Mamie Kobsar says the sale of beef hasn't slowed, but neither has the sale of her chicken.
The lean meat movement of the 90s has morphed into a general push for healthier diets today. Chef Rob Hofer is often behind the scenes at functions that offer food at the Lloyd X. He says some things never change.
We're finding people are being more international with their foods because they're more traveled and stuff like that, so they're liking different cultures and stuff and different types of food, but basically they like the roast beef, mashed potatoes and gravy.